What's up everyone? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today's video is going to be a bit different than normal because the subject matter isn't going to be as happy as it usually is. This will likely be my most grim scenario yet, and it's not because everyone's going to die at the end or whatever, but because this one's actually kind of dark when you think about it. It's going to be more character driven than normal. It still will be told like a traditional what if, and it's still going to be like that. But for obvious reasons, the topic is going to make me change things. And that's because today's topic is a very unique one. This is going to be a future timeline where Trunks and Gohan both survive. But against the androids, Trunks ends up dying and Gohan's the one to survive. As you'd probably imagine, this is going to have numerous different effects in the story. Hence why I also mentioned that it's going to be character driven. We'll be seeing all that in this video. We begin when Gohan's about to go fight the androids, right before his death. This is where things are going to change. Everything remains the same beforehand. The androids attack the future. And Gohan realizes that he might die here. And just to make sure that Trunks is safe, he knocks him out, heading off into the battle, knowing his fate that awaits him. But as he heads off, arriving in the city, Trunks slowly regains consciousness. Instead of waking up when it's too late, he wakes up a little bit earlier. He looks around frantically, wondering where Gohan went. Did Gohan knock him out on purpose? Why didn't he want him to join the battle? Trunks won't let Gohan fight alone. He can sense his power rising. He knows that he's facing the androids, and he needs to help. So Trunks powers up, flying into the city. And when he gets there, he sees a terrible sight. Gohan is facing the two androids alone, and he's losing. The androids are having their fun with him. And there's nothing Gohan could do. Even with his great power as a Super Saiyan, it's not enough. Gohan knows that he might die here, but it's fine. Trunks must live on. That's all that matters. And he hears someone shout Masenko. A large beam comes from above, hitting Android 17, barely doing any damage. Gohan can immediately tell. Why is Trunks here? How'd he wake up already? Trunks enters the fight, and Gohan asks him what he's doing. Trunks is mad too. He didn't want to be knocked out, he wanted to help. But Gohan says he can't. It's way too dangerous for him to be here. He did that to protect Trunks. Even if Trunks thinks he's powerful, Gohan's not sure if they can handle this, even together. But Trunks reiterates, he won't let Gohan fight alone. But Gohan keeps trying to get him to leave. It's too dangerous here. Gohan wants Trunks to go away now. But the androids attack more and more, and there's not much Trunks can do. Nor much that Gohan can do either. The androids are pretty amused by this. How cute. Gohan was trying to protect Trunks. What a pity though, because they're gonna both have to die here. Gohan's angered too. Not at Trunks, but at the androids. He won't let them hurt Trunks. He's not gonna let Trunks get in harm's way. He tries summoning more power, as much as he could possibly muster, but nothing is working against the androids. The harder he tries, the less it does. He's injured. He's losing energy. And the androids, they're not holding back any longer. First, they focus on Gohan. Let's try having a little bit more fun. This fight's getting boring, and maybe they could push more energy out of Gohan somehow. Wait, what? What do they mean by that? They look over to Trunks, knocking Gohan aside, completely ignoring him. The two androids attack Trunks together. He can't do anything. And anytime Gohan tries to get up and attack them, he's easily knocked away. 17 even throws barriers around him too, just to make it more annoying for Gohan. He watches from behind the bubble. Trunks is desperately trying to fight back, but he's simply not strong enough. Gohan continuously tries to get up, and 17 focuses on him, letting 18 have her fun with Trunks. And he makes sure to hold Gohan in place. Watch, look what's happening. Trunks keeps trying to fight. His rage is brought to his max. And briefly, he's even able to tap into Super Saiyan once more, powering up. Maybe this is the turnaround that they wanted. Even 17 and 18 are amazed. Gohan looks on. It's still not enough. He unlocks Super Saiyan, but even with it, it's not going to be strong enough to fight them. And it just makes things worse, because now Trunks is blinded by his rage. He jumps towards 18, ready to attack again. But the area begins glowing. 18 sticks a hand out, charging a blast. Before Trunks can even reach her with his attack, she launches her own. A massive blast comes out of her hand, completely decimating everything in front of her, leaving a divot that leads far out, even beyond the city limits. 17 watches on kind of unimpressed. He expected more of a challenge, but Gohan, he watches on in complete disbelief, complete shock. He's speechless. He doesn't know what to think. No, that couldn't have just happened, right? He couldn't have just seen what he thought he saw. Debris falls from the sky, and dust settles around the area. The realization suddenly hits Gohan. Where's Trunks? He can't see him. Gohan knocks 17 off, powering back up and then flying around, looking at the divot, trying to find Trunks anywhere he can. 17 goes back to his sister, and 18 says that was no fun. Maybe this will make the fight with Gohan more fun too. Or is he gonna die just as quickly as that kid? Gohan overhears this, angered. No, Trunks isn't dead. He can't be. But as he looks more and more, his feelings of anxiety and fear get stronger. And then he sees. It's Trunks, lying nearby, at the end of the divot. But it's a horrific sight. He's not moving. Gohan can't sense any ki from him. He tries all that he can, going over to Trunks, trying to give him some of his ki too. He tries his hardest to resuscitate Trunks, but he knows the truth. He doesn't want to admit it. The androids fly over too, watching on. How touching. He's trying to revive his friend. But of course, Gohan can't do anything. At the hands of the androids, Trunks has died. Gohan continuously tries to revive him, to no avail. Nothing he does. He's getting more frustrated. He starts crying, asking Trunks to wake up. And the androids look on. This is just getting annoying now. They tell Gohan not to worry. His eyes widen. Yes, he remembers. The androids are right there. 17 tells him he'll join his friends soon. They're not going to be separated for long. And this hits a nerve within Gohan. The two androids jump up, charging a large ki blast together. Gohan's eyes dart up at them, then back down at Trunks. His face, it twists into a horrifying look of anger. It doesn't even look human. It's even enough to make the androids flinch. What is this that they're feeling? They launch their attack, but Gohan disappears. Or it looks like he does. First off, their attack is sent right back to them. It actually does catch them off guard, but they block against it. It doesn't do too much damage. But then 18 can hear. Someone's behind her. Before she can even turn around, Gohan delivers a punch so strong that it knocks all the wind out of her, tossing her into 17. 17 catches 18, and then up above, they see Gohan. How'd he get up there already? He launches Masenko. 18 pushes 17 out of the way, and she's completely obliterated by the blast. As the blast dissipates, 17 looks on in disbelief. Where is she? And also, Gohan disappeared again. Now 17's kind of scared. Lightning courses through the sky above. Sparks of electricity pop up out of nowhere. 17 can't see Gohan moving, and of course he can't sense him. But he keeps seeing these flashes of light, these sparks of electricity. And then, Gohan pops up right in front of him, his face injured from 17's. He has that same look of anger from before. His hair, it's even more violently spiked than usual. Those sparks of electricity, they keep appearing around him. That aura is different. He's close enough to Gohan to see the tears in his eyes. And Gohan only says one thing. He was just a kid. To think the androids could do this with no emotion at all. 17 doesn't have any time to process a response, because as soon as he tries to say something or move, he's immediately pummeled into the ground. They were just midair, and now he's already in the dirt. He can't feel anything. The attack, it was so powerful it left him numb. Desperately, he tries to throw up a shield again, but Gohan punches right through it, hitting 17 square in the face. 17's even more scared now. He tries to retreat. As much as possible, he tries to leave. He begins throwing ki blasts everywhere frantically, trying to block his path, trying to make sure that Gohan can't see him. Gohan can't sense him, so if he can block Gohan's sight too, that'll let him escape. As he throws up all the smoke, Gohan simply powers up. The aura alone is enough to knock all the smoke away, even sending 17 flying backwards. And as 17 is sent flying back, Gohan's gaze meets him again. He attacks with a powerful kick, hitting 17 right in the neck, breaking it, sending him flying into a mountain nearby. The entire area shakes, a massive earthquake. As 17's buried in that mountain, he can't move, but he sees there's a glowing light in front of him. It's almost as if everything's slowing down. As this light gets closer and closer to him, it's a brilliant blue flash. He doesn't know what it is, but he could assume. Still in the same spot where he attacks 17, Gohan launches a massive one-handed Kamehameha. It cuts clean through the mountain, eviscerating Android 17 as well, leaving nothing behind. Both of the twins have been wiped from this earth. Gohan's breathing heavily. He powers down, out of energy, out of stamina. He's hurting, both physically and emotionally. He rushes back over to Trunks, not wanting to confront what he knows is there. He still has some false hope that Trunks is maybe alive, but no. When he gets back, it's that same body. Trunks is still lying there, motionless, no energy, nothing. Gohan falls to his knees, crying once again. His student, his friend, basically his brother. He's gone, and he can't come back. And he caused this, didn't he? I mean, he should have made sure Trunks was far away from here. Yeah, he knocked him unconscious, but clearly he didn't do a good job. He could have prevented this. He could have saved Trunks. He was too weak to stop it before, and he was too weak to stop it now. It was too dangerous to take Trunks here. Trunks wasn't ready. He should have been far away. He shouldn't have tried to fight the androids. He survived and got this new power, but at what cost? Gohan grieves. He failed. Yeah, the androids are gone, but he failed. He feels immense guilt. And how is he going to bring this up to Bulma? Time passes. Bulma wonders where they are. She hasn't seen them in a while. And she felt a massive earthquake earlier. She assumed it had something to do with them. And after time passes, Gohan eventually ends up returning. But just Gohan. He's bloodied and beaten. And as soon as he sees Bulma, he starts crying again. And she can infer what happened, joining in. She's able to very clearly fill in the details. Only Gohan came back. And that reaction he gave, it tells her everything. She asks where Trunks is and gets no response. That just confirms it for her. The androids are defeated, but all the life lost to them, concluding with Trunks losing his life, the last to die. The two mourn together. Eventually, Bulma does learn of what happens. Gohan does have to tell her. She knows the androids are defeated, which is great, but Trunks ended up dying in the process, and Gohan blames himself. Bulma doesn't blame him at all. She can understand why Gohan feels like that, but she's known to be very rational, and she knows Gohan's hurting. He didn't do this intentionally, and it's not his fault. Trunks rushed in on his own accord. She knows how he is as well. Gohan can't beat himself up over this. This isn't his fault. As much as he thinks it is, it's not his fault. And if anything, Trunks' sacrifice actually did help them. I mean, look at what happened as a result of it. She tries to get him to know Trunks' death wasn't Gohan's fault, and he didn't die in vain. But Gohan can't help but feel different. He, of course, thinks this is his fault, and he goes into solitude after telling Bulma everything. He can't look her in the face. He blames himself all the time when he sees her, and whenever he's around her, all he thinks about is Trunks. He took her son from her. He killed Trunks. Bulma gives Gohan time to grieve as he continues going off into solitude, secluding himself in the mountains, the same place looking over the city where Trunks died in. He doesn't even train. He just reflects. As society begins to rebuild itself, Bulma also begins working on something too, something that she has continued to work on beforehand. But now, with more free time, more peace, and more resources, she could actually do this. She can accomplish it. She could build a time machine. Yeah, the androids are dead and all, but this gives her a better opportunity to build a time machine, and maybe they could fix everything. The androids still did kill a ton of people, and they could bring them back. It's not like they need to go back just to defeat the androids. They can go back and restore everything, revive everyone. This is her best option, especially for Gohan and herself. Even if it does end up erasing this timeline, it doesn't matter. It's worthwhile to at least find out what's going to happen in order to bring all those lives back. They still need to have hope. They can't give it up. Even though it may not seem like it right now, there is hope. The androids are dead. Bulma's machine begins working. And maybe, just maybe, all that death and destruction can be reversed. Everything. They can return to normalcy. A time before the androids. A time before Trunks died. And there's one person that could fix all of this. Gohan. She tells Gohan. She still has been working on the machine, and she knows all the work they put in to defeat the androids, but they could still try and reverse it. She wonders how Gohan's gonna react. Maybe he won't want to do this because of everything that he went through so far, but of course, Gohan makes the right decision. He decides immediately. He wants to go back to the past. He wants to fix everything. He wants to bring Trunks back, and this is the only way. He tells Bulma thank you. Thanks for everything. Thanks for believing in him. Thanks for trusting him. Supporting him through everything, and not blaming him for all this. It's gonna take a lot of time, but slowly, he is healing, realizing what happened. Even though he still does feel it, he's beginning to realize that it isn't his fault, and he should move past it. He needs to fix this, if anything. This needs to serve as motivation. This needs to serve as hope. Bulma fires up the time machine, with Gohan being the only one going back. She tells him good luck. Worst case scenario, this accomplishes nothing. But best case, maybe they could bring everything back. It's at least worth it to know. And Gohan's determined. He is gonna fix this. He looks over to Bulma, waving goodbye as the time machine disappears. And she wonders, will this work? Will it actually go as intended? Well, they're gonna have to wait and find out. She wishes Gohan good luck. Good luck restoring everything. This will have such widespread effects. Not only will it bring Trunks back, but everyone who died to the androids, as well as reviving Goku, preventing him from dying to the heart virus. They could change the present by going to the past. They have a bright future ahead of them. Or do they? Gohan travels through time, going to another timeline. He ends up in the past, or at least what he assumes is the past of his timeline. Of course, they still don't know that these are two separate timelines yet. But either way, Gohan's glad it worked. He looks around. He's in the middle of nowhere, but not too far away there is a city, and it seems completely intact. And those powers that he senses, nearby, he could feel it. Goku, Piccolo, Vegeta, everyone, all those powers that he sensed a while ago, presences that he hasn't felt in so long. It's a bit overwhelming. He realizes too, he's gonna see all these people again, all these people from his past that have died in the future. It's not just Trunks. He lost all these people so long ago, and he'll finally get to see them again, even if it isn't really his version of them. But he's prepared. He knew he'd encounter this, and he's excited. Being able to finally see his father again, as well as everyone else, his teacher Piccolo, other friends like Krillin, all those people there in that group. Gohan heads off. Thankfully here, unlike Trunks, he doesn't have to keep his identity secret. He can be completely clear about everything, who he is, why he's here, and what's happened. Although, he does need to hide the fact that Trunks exists, because otherwise, it might jeopardize his existence here. Which is good, because he doesn't really want to talk about it anyways, but he's gonna have to omit that info. He flies over to where he senses the group, sensing a ship arriving towards Earth too. This is Mecha Frieza and King Cold. He already knew to expect this, and he knows that Goku will end up defeating him. He witnessed it firsthand after all. But this time, Gohan will be the one to do it. He shows up, and the group watches on from afar, seeing one person facing Mecha Frieza and King Cold alone. They actually think it's Goku. From far away, they see a man in an orange outfit. It has to be him. His hair looks shorter, but they can't really see anything else from here. Although something's weird about his energy. It's suppressed right now, but it doesn't feel like Goku. And then he powers up, transforming into a Super Saiyan. It has to be him. That has to be Goku. But it's still strange. His hair, okay, that's one thing, he might have just cut it. But that energy isn't Goku's, it feels like Gohan's. Or at least very similar to that. Future Gohan easily defeats Frieza and King Cold, wasting no time eliminating them. The group goes over, trying to figure out what's happening here, and as they get closer they see, this isn't Goku, he does look like him. But it becomes even more confusing because he looks actually more like Gohan if anything. That explains his power too, it felt like Gohan's. They want to know what's going on here, they don't know who this is. But Future Gohan simply says they've already explained it themselves. He is Gohan. Wait, what? Yeah, he explains. He's Gohan from the future. But before he explains everything else, he wants to wait for Goku to get here, just so everyone's caught up to the same spot. Goku eventually does get on Earth. After sensing this power, he's amazed. He sensed Gohan's ki transform. Like it was Gohan going Super Saiyan. He didn't know what it was and it didn't make sense. How did Gohan get Super Saiyan? He's just a kid. But it's not Gohan, or at least not his Gohan. Future Gohan barely even knows how to react. Looking around, he sees Goku after so long. He sees Piccolo. He sees himself. And he's happy. He says he's glad to see everyone again. It is a bit strange, but more so nice if anything. Wait, why'd he phrase it like that? He begins going into detail. Everyone in the future, besides him obviously, is dead. Of course, there are some other survivors. Bulma's one of them, for example. But he begins talking about everything that's happened so far. First of all, he mentions the heart virus. Goku succumbs to this, dying before everyone else. And then the androids attack. He fills everyone in on all the details, telling them everything besides the fact that Trunks existed. But he tells them this can all be prevented. If they can figure out a way to stop the androids, or at least train beforehand for them, that'll be fine. And in terms of Goku's issue, all he needs is this medicine. He's given the heart virus medicine, and Gohan tells him to make sure to take it. As soon as he starts feeling a symptom for it, he needs to utilize this. Oh, and there's also another thing. Yeah, he can go Super Saiyan, but that's not his highest level in power. Wait, what? Super Saiyan's not his highest level? It's surprising the fact that he can even go Super Saiyan in the first place. Vegeta's stunned. The fact that two Super Saiyans exist. And President Gohan is elated. He has Super Saiyan in the future, and something even beyond that too. And Gohan tells him he has no idea what this is, but for now he just refers to it as Super Saiyan 2, a level beyond the current level of Super Saiyan, or at least the level of Super Saiyan that he had. He tells him it was unlocked through intense emotion. He can't really clarify why, and he tries to avoid the question when asked, but all he knows is that it was unlocked through this. After so much time with intense training, and due to his great potential as a hybrid Saiyan, and a Saiyan in general, he theorized that all these factors together led to him getting this form. And without further ado, he decides to show it off. He goes Super Saiyan, and then powers up on top of that. And just from him powering up into Super Saiyan alone, they could tell his power's intense. He was holding back against Frieza, like a lot. And not just this form, but like his regular Super Saiyan in general, that's incredibly powerful. He said he's become very efficient with it, to the point where it doesn't drain too much stamina. Eventually, Goku could probably get to this level. Same for Vegeta and probably his past self too, because they should be able to unlock this form as well. But furthermore, he goes beyond that. Sparks of electricity form around him. His power surges further, and he shows off Super Saiyan 2. The strength of this, it's terrifying. But if the androids were an issue in the future, and he had this power, how are they supposed to defeat them? Well, Gohan says that's the thing. He only was able to defeat them once he got this power, and even then, he was one person, and he was also injured while doing so. If anyone, even just one fighter, like Goku for example, can unlock this power, the androids won't be a problem, or if they stop the androids beforehand somehow, although they opt to let the androids live. Gohan doesn't really like this idea, but he gets why they're doing it because it serves as a motivator, and for all they know, things could go wrong in another way. It's better to have this motivation to get stronger. And Gohan says that's basically everything, but before he goes, Goku stops him. He tells Gohan, he didn't really come all this way just to do that, right? Like, he has to stay for at least a bit. Gohan's not sure what he means, but Goku wants to test out his power. He can tell that Super Saiyan 2 is strong. And he's definitely not going to win a battle against Gohan. But if he wants to fight, just spar for a little bit, that might be fun. And Gohan, he doesn't really know how to react, but he chuckles. Yeah, he would like that. It's been so long since he's seen Goku after all. So he goes back into Super Saiyan. He warns Goku though. He knows what Goku's strength is like, and he knows how Goku fights. He also knows about that instant transmission technique and such, having seen it firsthand a while ago. And Goku says that makes things more interesting. He's gonna be at a handicap. Gohan is stronger and knows everything about him. He doesn't know too much about this Gohan. The two of them briefly spar, and Goku's amazed at this guy's power. Is this really how strong Gohan can get? He knew Gohan had this power within him, but to think that he got this powerful. Future Gohan ends up winning the fight, and Goku's content. He tells Gohan, in a few years once he's back, he'll be much stronger, and they're gonna have a rematch, at least once the androids are defeated. Gohan gets in the time machine, saying his goodbyes to everyone. It was nice seeing them, but he reminds them, don't mess up here. They're at an advantage now. They have something that he didn't have before. They know that the androids are coming. He says he'll be back in 3 years to make sure everything goes okay, and until then, he wishes them farewell. And Gohan now has a newfound sense of hope. After seeing everything in the past, even though he went through all that trauma with Trunks and everything, he feels reinvigorated, like he's gonna do something good. For all he knows, this might not work at all. Maybe his timeline is gonna stay the same, but regardless, he's at least helping them out. He doesn't know what this is, an alternate timeline, his actual past, or something else. But he got to see everyone again, and he's helping out here. He might have not been able to prevent Trunks' death, but he can prevent more. More death and destruction will be stopped because of him. He returns home. The future timeline continues to be rebuilt, and Gohan spends time training. He actually goes out of solitude even more. And Bulma's glad to see this change within him. She understands how hard it was for him to lose Trunks. I mean, look at her. She was Trunks' mother. But it's good to see that Gohan's healing, finally. And especially great that the time machine actually worked. Maybe things will go well, and maybe they could bring Trunks back. Maybe they could bring everyone else back. But she doesn't want to get too ahead of herself, although she does have hope. Eventually, Gohan does head back to the past. So, what's been happening here in the meantime? Well, training's been very different. After learning about Super Saiyan 2, yeah, the Saiyans are going to be aiming for this. Of course, Vegeta still wants to get Super Saiyan for himself. I mean, he doesn't even have that yet. And if anything, this serves as more of a motivator. Not only do Kakarot and his son have Super Saiyan, but they even have something beyond that. At least Gohan does. And Vegeta needs to go beyond that. He needs to one-up them somehow. Of course, he's behind because he needs to get Super Saiyan first. But who cares? He'll do this in any way possible. Goku trains to ascend Super Saiyan, while also trying to get Gohan to access it in general. They are focused on getting stronger, but this is their main focus right now. It's like what Future Gohan said. If someone has Super Saiyan 2, they'll win against the androids no problem. And Vegeta, he actually ends up staying here, training with Goku and Gohan. Something he despises and thought he'd never do, but it's the best way to get Super Saiyan after all, using Kakarot's knowledge, and Kakarot is the best training partner after all. He loathes the idea of training alongside him, but maybe it'll be for the best. It's the only way for him to get ahead. Of course, he won't be able to get ahead if he doesn't know where Kakarot is in terms of power. Enemy or not, it's best to keep Kakarot close. After all this time, eventually androids 19 and 20 show up. And with how intense all this training was, it actually brought the heart virus on earlier. All this physical stress actually accelerated it. Which means the symptoms showed up earlier and Goku had to take the medicine earlier. Meaning, he's actually cured now, and he can fight to his heart's content. No pun intended. Goku takes on android 19, while Vegeta takes on android 20. And surprisingly, Vegeta transforms into his Super Saiyan as well, showing it off to the androids. He actually has a much better grasp on here. Training with Kakarot was for the best. Of course, he didn't really like it at first, but the two of them are Saiyans after all. Training together is the best option for them. They still haven't figured out how to go beyond Super Saiyan. I mean, Goku's made some sort of progress because he knows what he's trying to aim for. And he has become a lot more efficient with it, but it's not like he's at grade 4 or anything. Either way though, Vegeta's content. These two battles happen simultaneously, with each of the androids being defeated, without any issue really. Besides the fact that Goku doesn't have the heart virus here, there's also the fact that he's much stronger. Androids 19 and 20 aren't a problem, and it seems like that's that. They just defeated the androids, right? That's all they needed. They're elated, and Gohan should be here anytime soon, or the future Gohan. The other Gohan is here right now. And we will get into him later to see what he's been up to. But for now, everyone waits around for future Gohan to show up, and not too long after the androids are defeated, he does appear. He asks if everything went okay, and as they explain more and more, he realizes things aren't right here. Those weren't the two androids he fought, but if they killed them, maybe it's okay. But they still need to find where androids 17 and 18 are, the ones from his timeline. But before they do anything, he needs to talk to Bulma. First of all, she might be able to help them find the lab, but more importantly, he wants to see for himself if Trunks exists here. And sure enough, he does. He sees Trunks as a baby, and they notice Gohan looks saddened for some reason, but he doesn't explain why. Once again, he just dodges any questions. He pretends to be surprised to see Vegeta and Bulma have a child. Although the way he reacts is a little bit suspicious and people could see. Well, not many of them pick up on it, but Piccolo and Goku notice. Something's odd about how he's acting. He never mentioned Trunks before, and he definitely would have known. Trunks was born before the androids showed up, so he should know about him, right? They'll ask him about it later. They don't know why he's hiding any info, or if he is at all, but something just seems a little off. Either way, they decide now it's time to find the other androids. They're able to locate Dro's lab, and thankfully, the other androids are there and they're not even activated yet. And Gohan's ready to destroy the lab. Seeing them immediately makes him angry. He says they need to destroy everything here, before it's too late. Although Krillin steps in. Maybe they could do something else. Maybe they could program the androids to be different. And Gohan stops himself. He does want to destroy everything, but yeah, maybe Krillin's right. And he considers it. As much as he hates the androids, he's got to consider, these two aren't the androids from his future. They actually haven't done anything yet. And from what they could see from everything in the lab and all the blueprints that they found and all the plans from Gero, these two were actually kidnapped, made to be this way, against their will actually. Wow, Gohan actually never knew all that about the androids. They were terrible people on his timeline, and regardless of their history, he knows that they deserved what was coming to them. After all the destruction they caused, regardless of whether they were kidnapped or not and put into this role forcefully, they willingly committed all those acts. That was out of their own accord. There was no Gero there guiding them, but it must have been something with their programming too. Or maybe that's inherent to their nature, who knows. But again, these androids aren't the ones from his future. They haven't done anything yet. So reluctantly, he agrees, and they take the androids back to Bulma. But of course, immediately after they do so, Gohan destroys everything in the lab. And I mean everything. He doesn't even know about the basement, but that gets destroyed too. Everything is completely eviscerated, with no hope of recovering. Okay, well, all seems settled here. Hopefully reprogramming the androids goes well, but he trusts that they'll be okay. Even if Bulma can't do that, well, they have ways to dispose of the androids. Although before he leaves, he does want to test everyone's powers. It's kind of like what Goku did before. And he asks, would they like to spar? I mean, it's not so often that he gets to see everyone here. And he's actually kind of glad that Trunks is here in this timeline. But still, you gotta remember, there's also the attachment that he has to people like Goku. He might as well stay here still. By now he's already realized, this is a completely separate timeline. Anything he does here won't affect his timeline, which kinda sucks, but he's gonna have to live with it. And like I mentioned before, he's glad to help out at least. Even if this doesn't change the things for him, well, he's preventing more destruction, and his timeline's at peace as far as he knows. So he might as well pay it forward. Even if he couldn't save his version of Trunks, his version of Goku, his version of Piccolo, or anyone else, he could save these ones, and he could preserve their future. Goku's definitely up for the fight, and the two of them go at it again. Goku is clearly much stronger, getting a much better grasp on Super Saiyan. And much to Gohan's surprise, Vegeta had Super Saiyan as well, even sparring with the Prince. But then he looks over to his past self. He definitely seems much stronger than before, actually a lot stronger than Gohan was at this point in his own timeline. He looks to his past self. He wants to see what he's got. Gohan's a bit nervous. He knows his future self is strong, but yeah, this would definitely be cool, fighting his future self. Future Gohan says he won't transform for this, getting ready for the fight, and then much to his surprise, past Gohan transforms, going to his Super Saiyan. Wait, what? He was holding back because he thought he couldn't go Super Saiyan. His past self could already do that? Gohan thanks his future self. Had he not shown up here and given all the tips that he had before, the course of his training would have been very different, if he would have even trained at all. He doesn't have a really good grasp on this form yet, but he has it, and Future Gohan's amazed. His past self might even be better than him. Of course, in terms of strength, he's so far ahead of his past self, and his past self's not even close to Goku or Vegeta in terms of strength. But still, the fact that he has Super Saiyan this early on, it catches Gohan off guard. He has a fight with his past self, glad to see how much he's grown. And it makes him happy. During the fight, it's kind of reminiscent of his battles with Trunks, all the times they sparred together. Even though it's himself, he sees a lot of Trunks in his past self. I mean, it only makes sense. He kind of was the one to help raise Trunks. It was really him and Bulma doing that, guiding him down the right path. So it's only natural for his kid self to have some similarities to Trunks. He has a weird mix of emotion from this, sadness, happiness, but also, he has the desire to protect his past self. He wants to see this past Gohan succeed, not just because it's him, but because he sees Trunks in him. And he's happy. All those feelings of anxiety and sadness before, they go away. Seeing this is what he was working for. Not just the past Trunks being here too, but this Gohan. He preserved this Gohan's future. He didn't have to go through all the turmoil that he did. And he makes a remark to Gohan. Be sure to train Trunks into a fine warrior. It kind of confuses present Gohan, but Future Gohan just plays it off saying, well, he's a hybrid Saiyan. The two of them should stick together, they are pretty similar after all. He never really had that experience. At least he pretends he didn't. And Gohan is gonna stick around for a bit more, but Goku and Piccolo are still curious. What had happened in the future? He's acting so strange now. They're not suspicious like he's hiding anything bad, they just feel like he's hiding something. There's some sort of sadness about him, beyond the obvious stuff that they do know. So now, Gohan actually does have to stay in the past for a little bit. He wants to stick around a little bit longer just to make sure things are okay, and they don't want him to leave right yet. Especially like I mentioned last time, Goku and Piccolo are suspicious of him. Not suspicious, but they're wondering what's going on with him. He's been acting very shifty, and they don't know what it is, but they decide to check it out, just to make sure he's actually okay. And of course, even though he tries to hide it, He eventually ends up having to explain it to them. He knows he can't really hide it for too long, so he tells them all about what happened. Trunks did exist in his timeline, and he explains. Trunks was a student, basically, and also kind of a brother to him. He tells them everything that went down. The fact that he and Trunks are basically the last survivors, and the only people trying to fight the androids. It was only because of Trunks' death that he was able to access Super Saiyan 2. And ever since then, it's been on his mind. Even now, Gohan still lives with it. This isn't something that just went away easily. He's always thought about it. He's always felt that guilt. And even though he has been getting better, it's not really the same. He can never go back to feeling how he felt before. The androids are gone, but so is one of his best friends ever. And the one who was in his life the longest, basically, besides Bulma and Chi-Chi. Because when you look at it, Trunks was actually around for Gohan's life longer than anyone else was. 14 years they were together. And he tells them this is why he never mentioned Trunks. He lied about it through omission, and he feels bad for it, but he couldn't bring himself to tell them. He didn't know what to say or how to phrase it. It's been on his mind ever since, and he didn't want to hide it from them, it's just that he didn't know what else to do about it. Goku acknowledges everything that his son has been through. He sees what happened. Losing Future Goku, then all the other fighters, and then Trunks, the only person he had left. But even Trunks, he ended up losing Trunks too. And Goku can tell. Gohan's been through way more than they could have thought. Yeah, there was the androids and all, but now putting it into perspective, there is so much more trauma that he went through in his life. Which is why it was so important for him to save this timeline, even if it doesn't affect his. Either way, Goku can kind of feel for him. And he tells Gohan, he understands. Piccolo agrees too. He did nothing wrong, and they get why he didn't tell them before. And Goku tells Future Gohan he has high hopes for the present version of Gohan. If he turns out anything like this Gohan, which it seems like he will, Goku's gonna be proud. It seems both of his sons are growing up well, and he's glad. Future Gohan barely even knows how to react. He's glad that they were so understanding. But of course, he could have trusted them in the first place. He feels bad for not mentioning it before. He should have known to trust these two. And he thanks them for checking up on him and letting him confide within them. But now, it's time for Gohan to go back home. He's about to say goodbye, until they sense something. Something strange, something they've never sensed before, and it's an ominous key. It feels familiar and foreign at the same time. What is this? They've never sensed anything like it. Gohan steps out of the time machine. His work here might not be done, and the group looks around, trying to figure out what's going on. This key that they sense, it can't be right. And Gohan wonders, is this another android or something? No, that wouldn't make sense. He couldn't sense the other androids, so how would he sense this one? Well, they're not gonna know for sure unless they check it out. So, just to make sure everything's okay, he goes with them. They go and search out this key, and eventually, they go into a city where they find nothing. Like, everyone there's just clothes scattered about, but no people. They don't know what happened here. Until a creature steps out, a green monster. They've never seen anything like it. It's Cell. This monster, he smirks. He's glad to see that Goku's there, exactly who he wanted to find, and he chuckles. He asks them about the androids. The androids? Gohan mentions that they're gone. Of course, they've been taken to Capsule Corp to be reprogrammed, but he makes it seem like that they're actually dead. And Cell acts confused. This timeline too? Wait, what does he mean, this timeline? You know what? Cell's gonna kill them all anyways, so he might as well give them an explanation. He tells them who he is, where he's from, and what he's here for. Of course, this enrages Gohan to no end, knowing that another timeline existed, and this Cell, whoever he is, he killed Future Gohan in that timeline. Everything he worked for was essentially for nothing then. And now he comes here to terrorize this timeline to try and get the androids for himself? Gohan's not gonna let it slide, especially because this is another android. Even if he didn't have this backstory, Gohan would have immediately been on guard given the fact that he is an android. And the others are too, but they're ready for a fight. They prepared for the other androids, and it seems like they're gonna have to use that preparation for this android instead. And luckily the group is pretty big. Goku, Gohan, and Gohan power up. The others watch on the side. If their help is needed, they will join in. But Goku and the two Gohans should be enough. Cell is confident too. He doesn't know how strong these people are. But from what he can guess, they're not gonna be strong enough to contend with him. Although, he's clearly misjudging them here. The battle begins. Cell versus the 3 Super Saiyans. Right away, he tries to stab one of them with his tail, aiming for Future Gohan, who's the strongest, but he underestimates Gohan's speed. Gohan isn't Super Saiyan 2, and he isn't playing around here. He immediately dodges the attack, thinking that it was just some normal attack, but then he sees the tail. There's a sharp end to it. Why was he trying to stab Gohan? Cell continues to do so, trying to puncture Gohan in any way he can. Gohan doesn't know what that tail's gonna do, but maybe it's gonna poison them or something worse. Either way, he knows to avoid it, and he warns the other two, stay away from that tail. He cuts it off, and Cell immediately regenerates it. He's part Namekian after all, which they're just now learning. It explains why they could sense Piccolo's ki within him, and before he mentioned, he was part of everyone here, which means he has all their abilities too. He even shows off a Kamehameha, trying to use it to kill the three of them, but of course, it does nothing. He's surprised. They're actually stronger than he thought. But like I mentioned too, Future Gohan's not playing around here. Not to mention, he's also in Super Saiyan 2 right now. He's not fighting in regular Super Saiyan. Him alone might actually be enough against Cell, and with Goku and Gohan there too, well, once they start getting more serious, they realize, yeah, Cell's not really that big of an issue. The three of them finish off Cell together with their own Kamehameha, and none of them hold back at all. Every little bit of Cell is erased, and now they don't have to worry about him anymore. He's been defeated, pretty easily in fact, and it gives Gohan a heads up. In his timeline, there might be another version of this Cell. He didn't know about him here, but thankfully, like I mentioned in the last part, Jiro's lab was completely destroyed, even that basement part that was hidden. So now Gohan knows to expect this in the future, whether it's going to be Cell time traveling or Cell awakening within that timeline. Who knows though? And now Gohan can finally return home. He thanks everyone for the time spent here, but they thank him. He shouldn't be the one thanking them. He helped them. He saved this timeline. He's a hero. And he's glad to hear it. He hasn't really felt like one in a while, but now he truly does. He got to see his friends, his family, everyone, and he saved them. He got to fight alongside them. He got to train them. And he learned from them too. Plus, he got to see himself in the past. A glimpse into what his life would have been like if the androids never showed up. He's a bit saddened by it, but also at the same time, happy. Happy that this Gohan's gonna get to grow up and actually be a scholar like he wanted to. Happy that this Gohan's gonna grow up in relative peace compared to his timeline. And happy that this Gohan is gonna grow up with the Trunks in his timeline. He wants to make sure that this Gohan protects everyone. And Gohan acknowledges it. The two Gohans fist bump. Glad to have seen each other. Gohan turns to Goku too, with the two hugging. Gohan's really glad to have seen him. It's been so long since he last saw Goku. And even if it was temporary, he's glad he got to see him once again, whether or not it truly was his Goku. The same goes for his teacher and closest friend Piccolo. But he can't stay here forever. It's time to go back home. He says his goodbyes, returning to his timeline. He's actually starting to feel better about this whole Trunks thing. That guilt that he felt, everything he felt surrounding it, it's slowly dissipating. Of course, it never fully goes away. But Goku and Piccolo really helped him out back there. And him just saving that timeline in general, that really helped. It made him truly feel like he was doing something good. Something was going right in his life for once. Things may not be perfect, but he's content. He's more content than he ever was before. Bulma's glad that he returned okay. And of course, this didn't reverse everything that happened here, but he did end up saving another timeline, so that does count for something. And also, they did get some pretty important information. The fact that Cell's gonna show up. Had Gohan not gone to the past and figured out that Cell existed, he would have showed up here and probably done a sneak attack, and probably would have gotten the upper hand pretty quickly. And now Gohan knows. He prepares, ready for Cell's arrival. He knows he's gonna be strong enough to counter him in general. But he wants to make sure that he knows Cell's gonna be there when he arrives. Eventually down the line, Cell does arrive, and Gohan doesn't even waste any time. He just tells Cell he knows his whole plan, and immediately, he kills Cell. And with that, the androids are done with. Both in the past timeline and the present timeline, or I guess the future timeline. Gohan's present, at least. 17, 18, and Cell are dead. And hopefully this means that the timeline can live in peace from now on. He vows to himself, he's never gonna let anything like this happen ever again. Of course, by now he's partially gotten over the guilt, so it's not like he fully blames himself for this, but he knows he can help prevent it in the future, prevent anything like this from happening, all this loss, destruction, and everything. Everything he does from now on is to protect those who are left, not worrying about those who have died already. That doesn't mean he's gonna forget the people that are dead. It's just that he recognized that he can't mull on it forever. He needs to move on, he needs to grow stronger from it, he needs to learn from it. And he'll make sure they didn't die in vain. Everything he does from now on is to protect everyone that's still left. And also done in honor of those who have died. Gohan has hope. He looks ahead to a bright future. Sure, the androids might be dealt with, but this isn't the last threat that Earth's gonna face. A few years down the road, another threat appears. Two visitors come to Earth, greeting Gohan. They actually seem like good people. He's never seen them before, but he feels intimidated by them. It's the Supreme Kai and his attendant, Shin and Kibito. Supreme Kai? Like King Kai? Oh no, they're above him. And this gives Gohan some anxiety. Why are they here? There must be something bad going on. Is that the case? And it is. But they tell Gohan not to worry. As long as he helps them out, this will be sorted. He briefly leaves Earth, telling Bulma that he'll be back soon. He needs to prevent whatever's about to happen from happening. The three of them go to the sacred world of Kais, as Shin begins explaining more and more. A threat is about to appear on Earth, Majin Buu, but with Gohan's help, they can at least try and stop this. You'll need to fight Dabura, Babidi's strongest henchman, and as long as they can get past him, then they can prevent Babidi from getting energy from Buu's egg. That's all? Gohan just needs to fight this guy? Well, it's easier said than done. They tell Gohan, Dabura is incredibly powerful, but they do want to test Gohan's power. Maybe he'll be a good enough match for him. And a great way to test this is to see if he can pull the Z sword. So, he does so. Damn, it's been a while since he fought with a sword. He kinda remembers from when Piccolo was teaching him to use one. And he does remember that Trunks had one too, but himself, he hasn't really used one in a while. But this is more of a training tool, they say. Although he definitely will be using this in battle if he pulls it. And it takes a lot of effort, but Gohan is able to pull the Z sword. By now, he's still been training with Super Saiyan 2 after all, and he's gotten a lot stronger. Remember, I said he's not gonna slack off or anything. He wants to prevent any other destruction on Earth, so he's kept up with his training. He's been the only one here that can fight after all. Even though he would have loved to live another life, he can't. He's basically the protector of Earth, the protector of this timeline. He has been training still. He wants to hone his power even further, maybe even go beyond Super Saiyan 2, but that remains to be seen. He pulls the Z sword, amazing Shin and Kibito. This is great. He'll definitely be enough to fight Dabura if he could use this, and he actually swings the sword around pretty efficiently. How strong is Gohan truly? They knew he was powerful, but is he really that strong? Well, the true test of it will be their fight against Dabura. They get back on Earth, and eventually they do find Dabura and Babidi. And Gohan's not gonna pace himself or try to enjoy the fight or anything, he's just gonna go in for the kill. As soon as he can, he wants to try and kill Dabura. Stop this before it ever happens. They're glad that Gohan's here too. He'll be a great way to get some power. They could definitely use him as a battery for Buu. But he tells them that's not gonna happen. They came to the wrong planet. Yeah, he is strong and all, but that's just gonna work against them. They're not gonna get any energy from him. Matter of fact, they're not gonna get energy from Earth in general. Babidi tells them to stop acting so confident. And Gohan says he's not being cocky at all. He's just putting it bluntly. They're gonna lose here. Is that so? Before Babidi could even continue the conversation, the Z sword is flung in his direction. He's barely able to move out of the way in time. That was close. But when he jumps out of the way, he realized that Gohan's right next to him, launching a single blast and eviscerating Babidi. He then picks up the Z sword, which is lodged in the ground. He points it at Dabura. What's he gonna do now without his master? Dabura attacks, and Gohan powers up into Super Saiyan 2. Dabura pulls out his own sword, and the two begin clashing. But fighting with a sword was never really Gohan's style. So once again, he uses it as a distraction. He flings it at Dabura, trying to pierce him with it. Dabura swats it away. But briefly, with his arm and the sword getting in the way, it blocks his vision. And as soon as his arm moves out of the way, he sees Gohan standing right in front of him. A powerful kick is delivered to his stomach. He's sent flying down to the ground, and Gohan launches a massive Masenko, not holding back at all. Dabura tries to get up, but it's already too late. The Masenko hits him head on, killing Dabura before he could even fight back. Shin and Kibito just watched on amazed. He truly is that strong. They kinda doubted at first, but this just proves it. What an incredible mortal. Gohan asks them if that's all, and they say yeah. He's defended Earth. Actually, no, the entire galaxy, the universe. He stopped Majin Buu's revival, and Gohan's glad, turning over to the Kais and smiling. He thanks them for warning him, and they thank him for his help. What a truly fascinating specimen. But once again, Gohan can remain content that his Earth is safe. Although, Shin and Kibito might have other plans for Gohan. This power, they could definitely hone it even further. Intrigued by Gohan's power from the last part, Shin and Kibito ask him to train with them. It would be good for both. I mean, for Shin and Kibito, it means they get to train a mortal, learn more about the mortals, which they've been kind of slacking on, admittedly. But this will be great for Gohan too. He'll get a lot stronger, which is exactly what he wants. As the sole defender of Earth and basically everything good in the universe, he kind of has a duty for this. He doesn't view himself as some sort of superhero or anything. But he just knows that the responsibility of defending Earth and himself and everything that he's tried to protect in this timeline so far, that really rests on him. And if he wants that peace to be long-lasting, well, they're gonna need someone strong like him. I mean, look what happened with Dabura and Babidi. It's evident that even though the androids are gone, there's still evil out there in the universe. He needs to stop that evil. When it comes his way, he wants to be prepared. So Gohan agrees. He goes to train with the Kais, learning more about them and everything surrounding them too. Besides learning some interesting info about the universe itself, he gets a lot of good experience with training, not just in strength, but abilities and his mindset too. It's been so long since he's trained under someone. He has trained Trunks, and he did train with a master a while ago with Piccolo and Goku. But this is very different. It's been decades since he's had a teacher. He definitely could use it. He could learn a lot from it. and he would be utilizing the Z sword more. It's weird using a sword with one hand, but it was effective before, and it kinda does remind him of Trunks. Getting the hang of it is pretty tough because he does only have one arm. But he gets around this in a pretty interesting way too. With how great his control on Ki is right now, and knowing that Ki weapons are a thing, he decided to combine those two ideas, and he made something really unique. To get around his handicap of only having the one arm, at points, he would create an artificial arm out of Ki in order to help him use the sword more effectively. Granted, in battle this could help a lot too, but it's mainly to support the sword. Although that does become kind of pointless at some point because, well, he breaks it. And that releases Elder Kai, so it's bad that the sword broke, but it's good because now Elder Kai is here. And you know what that means? We're gonna get the ritual, which means ultimate Future Gohan. There's no way he's gonna turn this down. Yeah, he does want to earn his power, but if he's gonna have this opportunity to get power like this, especially remembering how potent his potential was on Namek when that got unlocked, yeah, he's definitely gonna want to do this here. He's morbidly curious to see how far his potential could push him. It can't be that big of an increase, right? Well, it's way bigger than he expected. Even Shin and Kibito didn't expect this much potential within Gohan. They knew it was there, but not to this extent, and Elder Kai is just as amazed. What is this power? Gohan now has access to the ultimate form, and he no longer needs to use the Super Saiyan forms either because whatever potential's in there, that just gets drawn out with ultimate. It's incredible, the strength that comes along with it. At first it's tough for him to control, he can't even get a hang of his own power. Consider the fact that not only is this Gohan, but it's a Gohan that has trained so much in his life and hasn't really stopped at all. So we saw the potential increase with Gohan in the main story, that present Gohan who actually skipped training for a while. This is Gohan who's much older, much more experienced, and has had much more training. The increase in potential would be, well, I don't really know other word to describe it rather than just really significant. It's a huge boost in power. And with a huge boost in potential, that just makes Ultimate so much more potent. No pun intended. And as his training is continuing, at some point, they do encounter a threat. A perfect test of Gohan's power, but also another opponent to face. An opponent to defeat. Someone that Gohan needs to protect the timeline against. And that's what this is, a direct threat against the timeline. This isn't just a threat against Earth, or Gohan himself, or anyone like that. It's the entire timeline at risk here. Because next up, he's gonna be facing Goku Black. An odd power arrives on the Sacred World of Kai's one day. He's not too sure what it is. It feels ominous, but also there's a sense of familiarity within it. It feels like Goku's for some reason, but also not Goku. But that doesn't make sense. Goku's been long dead in this timeline, and if it was Goku here, like Goku from the past, how would he have gotten here, and why would he get here? Gohan doesn't even ask any more questions because at some point, right after he senses this power, a massive ki blast comes out of nowhere, aimed at the Kais. He jumps in front of them, protecting the two. With another then directed towards Elder Kai, thankfully he's able to teleport, utilizing the Kai now, a very useful technique that he's picked up on. Protecting Elder Kai as well, and instinctively, he teleports them away. He asks them if they know what that was, but they're not too sure. It's a good thing he stepped in because otherwise, they would have been killed by that attack. Gohan was able to act very quickly, which is nice. But he doesn't know what this threat is. He teleports back to the area where it occurred, and he sees a very familiar figure in the sky. The outline, the silhouette of him, that hairstyle. It's so distinctive. There's no mistaking it. That definitely is Goku, or it looks just like him. But how? Why? Gohan has so many thoughts racing through his head. This is his father that he's seeing. It's not like Trunks where he saw Goku Black before. Yeah, that's pretty traumatizing, but for Gohan, he's seeing his father. It just adds an extra layer of trauma to it. An extra layer of anxiety to what Gohan's feeling. What is this? Who is this? Well, there is one thing he does know. Even though it does look like Goku, it isn't Goku. The energy doesn't feel like him, and Goku wouldn't be attacking these guys. It makes no sense for him to be here at all, whether that's present Goku or the Goku from this timeline. There's no logical explanation for this. This has to be some imposter. That's the only idea that he has. He asks Goku Black who he is, and Goku Black simply says that doesn't matter. What matters is that Gohan needs to be eliminated, as well as the Kais. They stand in the way of his plan, and as for Gohan himself, he's a sinner to a great extent. Messing with time. He's just a mere mortal. What does he think he's doing? Who does he think he is? This only serves to anger Gohan even more. If he's gonna dodge the question, that tells Gohan he can't settle this verbally. This guy's a threat, and he needs to be stopped. Even if he looks like Goku, that doesn't matter. If anything, that makes Gohan even angrier. He powers up an ultimate, slightly enraged as well. And Goku Black notes this, that increase in power. And it's nothing normal, nothing like he's sensed before. It's Ultimate Gohan, such a strange presence, and with the rage that he's feeling too, he even gets a slight increase on top of that. Goku Black is elated. He motions Gohan to fight him, show him what he's got. Gohan rushes in. He won't let anyone else die. He won't hesitate here. No matter what this guy looks like, he doesn't care if it looks like him, Goku, whoever. This imposter, whoever he is, he will be killed here. But just as Gohan's about to strike, someone else teleports in, shielding Goku Black from the attack. Although, he isn't really an effective shield. Gohan punches him with such force that it basically rips off his top half. And Gohan stops mid-attack. Who did he just kill? He sees half of Zamasu fall to the ground, with the other half levitating midair. This is a Kai. Wait, this is that Kai from Universe 10. That's the thing, Gohan actually does know who Zamasu is. He's been with the Kais long enough to know about the multiverse and the other Kais in general. But why is Zamasu here? Did Goku Black teleport him here somehow to use him as a meat shield or whatever? He's confused. Also kind of panicked. He just killed a Kai, it looks like. Well, not actually. Zamasu regenerates. And now Gohan sees what he's up against. These two, they're working together. Zamasu's immortal and also evil? He has no clue what's going on. He's so lost right now, but also enraged, even more than he was before. And he sees Goku Black's wearing a Patara and a time ring. Why does he have Kai attire? There's so many questions. And Goku Black is annoyed by his pestering, so he just flat out explains the Zero Mortals plan. He tells who he is, as well as what he's here for. So he's Goku from another timeline. It's not the timeline that Gohan went to save, but it's another one similar to it, pretty much one that's an exact copy of it. So that explains who this Goku is. And even though Gohan technically doesn't have a connection to him, that timeline went pretty much the same as the present one that he went to. Meaning this is the body of that same Goku that he met in the past. Meaning that Goku Black is erasing everything that he did there, all that he accomplished, everything that he saved in that timeline. He destroyed it. And not just Goku either. The Gohan in that timeline, the Vegeta, the Piccolo, Bulma, Chi-Chi, everyone. But also the Trunks in that timeline. These thoughts, these people, they all rush through his head. And Gohan's anger explodes, unlike it has before. This is a type of rage that he hasn't felt since Trunks died. This is something completely different. He's unhinged. Goku Black acts cocky at first, welcoming this. This will give him more power, this fight. It'll only help him grow even stronger, give him more experience, give him more power. But Gohan is getting too strong for him to face. And even with the Zamasu there as a meat shield, it's not working. Okay, well, Zamasu can go fight the Kais. No, not really, because Gohan just teleports there, protecting the Kais too. Remember, his whole thing is that he doesn't want anyone else to die, especially the Kais now with how important they are. And he makes sure Zamasu stays away from them. And then, within an instant, Gohan gets a really random idea, but it might work. He grabs onto the three Kais, teleporting them away. Zamasu and Goku Black try to seek out his energy, but not seconds after, Gohan teleports back. On a whim, he teleported them elsewhere. They have their own Kai too, and he told them to just keep moving. Get away from here. He wants to face Zamasu and Goku Black alone without having to worry about them. And it is a good plan. They agree, but they tell Gohan, be careful. They could tell he's getting unhinged, and he needs to control that rage, not only to help him use his power more effectively, but also, they don't want that rage to blind him. He'll make mistakes that way. And this guidance from Shin and Kibito, he agrees. He calms down. Well, he's still enraged, but he calms down a bit, collecting his thoughts more and more. He thanks them for their help. They're right. He needs to utilize his anger more effectively. Don't let it take control of him. And he keeps these thoughts in mind as he faces Goku Black and Zamasu once again. So, Zamasu's a lost cause. He's not going to be able to kill Zamasu because Zamasu's immortal. Alright, just don't focus on him then. Focus on Goku Black, that imposter, that monster, that guy that killed everyone, ruined everything that Gohan worked for, and he's trying to ruin everything right now. And the one guy that Gohan could actually kill. But he needs to separate Zamasu from him. So, he does what he basically did with the other Kais. With great speed, he rushes into Goku Black, tackling him, pummeling him with a bunch of punches and kicks. With one massive blast of ki, he turns to Zamasu, knocking him far away, as well as partially destroying him. And while Zamasu regenerates, he grabs onto Goku Black, teleporting them away, as far away as he can, utilizing the Kai to go to the most remote place in the universe. They end up on a random desolate planet. Not even Gohan knows where he is. And this is good. This means they'll be alone for the time being. As long as Goku Black doesn't raise his ki, Zamasu won't be able to find them and teleport here, which means he needs to make this quick. Before Goku Black could even react, Gohan already has a plan. He needs to strike quickly, and he needs to make it count because the second he raises his ki, Zamasu could sense him too. He vanishes out of sight. Goku Black's confused, looking around. A shadow looms overhead. He looks up and sees blocks of Kachin falling from the sky. There's a lot of them, but he's not deterred. Easily, he breaks them. These interrupt him and don't allow him to power up. He focuses on dodging them and destroying them. But also with all these blocks flying from random places, it acts as a great distraction for Gohan. He lunges in towards Goku Black, holding his power back as much as possible, until the very last moment where he strikes, powering up. Goku Black tries to defend against it, but he can't. Gohan is far too strong for him. And now that Gohan's powered up, he knows that Zamasu would sense him and teleport here. So he teleports behind Goku Black. Then behind him again, and again and again. As Goku Black keeps turning around, Gohan's teleporting around him randomly. Angered, Goku Black creates a sword out of ki, slicing at Gohan at any chance that he gets, but he can't hit Gohan. He's moving too quickly. But at one point, the sword connects. It hits Gohan right in his arm, or what looks like an arm. Using it as a shield, Gohan has his ki arm out in front of him, blocking Goku Black's sword, and then with his other arm, he charges his own ki sword. He tries to stab it right through Goku Black, but Goku Black dodges. But really, that was a feint, because the moment Goku Black dodges, that other ki arm turns into a ki sword. Gohan has two swords at once. Goku Black only dodged one of them. He didn't expect another. It pierces right through his chest. He landed a critical hit, and now he just needs to finish it off. Goku Black tries desperately to stab Gohan again, but Gohan's simply able to parry it, attacking again, hitting Goku Black once more. They're both lethal blows. Gohan then jumps high up into the sky, charging a Masenko quickly, launching it down at Goku Black. Zamasu teleports in at the very last second, but it's already too late. The Masenko completely obliterates Zamasu, as well as hitting Goku Black head-on, obliterating him. Of course, Zamasu does regenerate. But he looks around. Goku Black's gone. He didn't actually kill him, did he? Gohan says there's no other explanation. He's gone, and Zamasu's gonna be next. But Zamasu starts laughing maniacally. There's no way he's gonna die. He might have been able to kill Goku Black, but he was not immortal. Zamasu? He can't die. No matter what Gohan does, it's not gonna work. He laughs even more. It doesn't matter how strong he is. He can't kill an immortal being. And amidst Zamasu's speech, someone else interjects. Yeah, they can't kill an immortal, but they can seal him away. Zamasu's confused. The voice sounds familiar, and Gohan doesn't recognize it either. Zamasu turns around, seeing someone standing there. Someone that he really didn't want to see. Before Gohan can even tell what's happening, Zamasu is then sealed away. And Gohan thinks he recognizes who's standing there. There's two figures. People that he's heard about but hasn't actually met before. One of them is very sleepy, having just woken up from a nap. It's Beerus and Whis. Beerus came here just in the nick of time. Not too sure what's happening here, but he's not going to ask questions. He saw that this Kai is evil and he heard enough of his speech. Looks like Gohan has a lot of explaining to do. Beerus does want to be caught up on this. Wait, Beerus, the god of destruction. Gohan's completely overwhelmed. He bows to show respect, acting very formal and kind of scared, knowing what he's heard about Beerus and all. But Beerus tells him he doesn't need to do that. He just saved the universe, and probably the multiverse too without even knowing. Although Beerus does get a kick out of how formal he's being. But he is interested in Gohan. That performance against Goku Black. Interesting. He definitely has power, and a lot of technique and skill. Maybe he's a Super Saiyan god, or can go down the track of being one, if that even exists. He smirks, and sticks a hand out to Gohan. He has a question. How would Gohan like to become an actual god? A Super Saiyan god, for that matter. Gohan has no clue what he's talking about, but he looks up at Beerus. Is this actually happening? The god of destruction offering to train him or something? Of course, he's not going to turn it down. Although, he does have to run it by Shin and Kibito. Beerus scoffs at this. Yeah, those guys. Same for Elder Kai. It looks like he got himself into kind of a mess by releasing Elder Kai after all. I mean, Beerus was the one to seal him. But he'll let that slide as long as Gohan goes to train with him. There's no reason for Gohan to not accept this offer. He swore to himself. He'll do anything to protect this timeline, to prevent what happened to Trunks from happening to anybody else. It seems he didn't do a sufficient enough job, seeing Goku Black and all, but Beerus tells him that wasn't his fault. Well, they don't think so. Beerus knows nothing about it, admittedly, but hey, whatever. He tells Gohan he saved this timeline. He should be proud, he should be confident, he should be ready to ascend to godhood. And Gohan agrees. Yeah, do it for this timeline, do it for himself, do it for Trunks. Do it for all those who have died, including in the other timeline too where Goku Black came from. He can't prevent all tragedy. He's come to realize that. But still, he can prevent some tragedy. It's better than standing by. Gohan is still confused, but he smiles, shaking Beerus' hand. Whatever it takes to protect the universe and this timeline, he'll do it. And with that, we end off this scenario. So, what did you guys think about this part? And what about the scenario as a whole? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. Be sure to drop a like on the video if you haven't already, as well as subscribing to the channel if you haven't. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.